Hey guys, it's Em. So I feel like I haven't filmed in so long. Um, but I feel like me doing this video is basically like a comeback video. Um, basically explaining like where have I been, what's been going on, why have I been MIA for the last 11 months. Yes, I said that correctly. 11 months. I have not filmed on my YouTube in 11 months. I feel like a lot has happened behind the scenes, and I feel like just coming back and just talking about everything that's been going on behind closed doors is the most necessary video. Um, so I hope you guys enjoy, and let's get into it. So, where have I been for the last 11 months? Truthfully, I feel like I fell off the bandwagon with YouTube. I really was into filming TikToks. I didn't take a major social media break, just specifically YouTube. I took a social media break. Um, and I was still active on my Instagram and my TikTok. But YouTube, I just slacked off. Um, and I feel like a lot of it has to do with like what I've been dealing with behind the scenes. Um, last time I did a video, it was a makeup video basically of right before I went on vacation. Um, so I really want to dedicate this video to a specific topic besides like where have I been, but I have been dealing with stuff behind the scenes. I First off, I was on Zepbound for almost a year. Um and I lost 70 pounds, and I I obviously did not capture that journey within my YouTube. I mostly did it on TikTok. Um but today's video is not about like where have I been and like explaining like every bits and pieces of an explanation. Um I want to mostly dedicate this video to a specific thing I'm dealing with currently in my life. Um and I feel like there's a lot of women that can relate to this specific topic I'm going to talk about. Um but basically, yeah, I was on Zepbound, and I basically was focused on that, and I took a step back from YouTube. Um, and in the midst of that, I feel like I was dealing with a lot of mental health stuff. Truthfully, like, I've been going through something that I had recently found out, and I feel like coming back to YouTube and talking about it, I want to put this on YouTube because this is going to be a big part of my journey in the next part of my life. Um, so if you guys aren't aware, or if you're not following my TikTok, um, me and my husband, Matt, have been trying for a baby, since June of what year are we in? 2026. So June of 2025, we started trying for a baby. And, um, I've been kind of like capturing its and bits of that journey on TikTok, but I feel like YouTube, I could actually like talk about it. Um, so June of 2025, me and my husband decided to start trying for a baby because we want a baby. We got married a year prior. So once we hit the 1 year mark of our marriage, I started testing for ovulation. On my 1 year wedding anniversary with my husband, I had tested, and ironically, I tested positive for my ovulation. Now, I feel like there's so much to talk about and like explain and like things like that, but um February of 2025, I decided to get off of birth control. I was on it for 8 years of my life, and I was put on it because of my PCOS. I guess I could say it was more of a band-aid than a treatment of help. Um, it was basically just to start my periods again. So yeah, I was on it for 8 years. I feel like this video is going to be all over the place, but I was on it for 8 years, and February of 2025, I decided to finally get off of it and basically like gut my body. I was lost weight. I was taking all my medications off. Like, I was completely deciding to no longer take certain medications. Um so June, like I said, June I tested, and that was basically a couple months after I got off birth control. I decided to test my ovulation. And right after birth control, I was having a consistent period, normal period. They told me when I had got off birth control that I wouldn't have like a normal period, maybe like once I hit the 3 month mark. Um, but I had like basically my body just like snapped back in place, and I had a consistent period. And I tested positive for ovulation. So I was like, oh my God, like this is crazy. So basically I was tracking my ovulation every month. June was the only month that I had test positive. July, August, and September, I had no ovulation. And then October, like closer to Halloween, I would say, I tested positive again for ovulation. And I was like, what is going on? But I know with PCOS, that could happen. Um, and in the midst of this, me and my husband are trying for baby, so obviously still no pregnancy. And then November and December rolls around, and of 2025, and I tested no ovulation. And November, my period disappeared. And I was like, what is going on? And then I started having like pregnancy symptoms. And I was like, I wasn't trying to jump into it and think like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. I was just like, okay, like I'm only a week late. Then a couple weeks keep passing and still no period. And I'm like, then my symptoms start, like, I start having nausea. I keep having like random cramps, and then I get spotting. And I'm like, oh my God, am I pregnant? And so I went to the market, the grocery store, and I got a pregnancy test, and it tested negative. So I was like, okay, maybe it's just too soon. December rolls around the same time of when my period's supposed to start. My second period, my December period, is supposed to start. And we get to that week, still no period. We're already like a month late of my period. And December basically passes and still no period. So I consistently keep buying pregnancy test. And still testing negative, but I'm having all the symptoms. I'm having the boob pain, I was having spotting, I was having like pelvic throbbing, I was having nausea, I was having headaches, I was super tired, like things that I've never experienced before. And I was like, okay, like maybe my body's just like telling me I'm not pregnant. Um so January rolls around and I get my period in the new year. And I'm like, I was crushed. I was very sad, I was crushed, but I was also grateful that I got my period. Because if anybody that knows that when you have PCOS, you could either have a period or no period, or a period, or it's just like super irregular. So when I got my period, I was like happy but also sad. And because I was like, what is going on? What are these symptoms? Like, I was very confused. And February basically rolls around. I get my second period. Okay, now we're back in track with my periods. So then I go to my endocrinologist and basically explain to her like everything I was dealing with in November and December. And she basically told me, because we had gotten lab work, I can't talk, lab work, and basically she said I have hyperprolactinemia, and basically having high prolactin basically could cause you to have phantom pregnancy symptoms and basically think your body's pregnant even though it's not. Now, I've been having this prolactin issue for since 2020, but I never experienced anything like that. During 2020, I was still on birth control, so I never dealt with like the pregnancy like symptoms. And she said it was because my prolactin was elevated. So I was like, okay. So we basically came up with a plan. And basically she told me like, with PCOS and your hypothyroidism and the hyperprolactinemia, um, you are going to be considered having a high risk pregnancy. Um, it's going to be a journey. And basically within that month, I had another appointment coming up for the OBGYN. So she told me basically to follow up with her, and she referred me also to a maternal fetal medicine doctor. And at this moment, like when she told me that it's going to be high risk and um based off like everything, um I'm going to have, like with the hyperprolactinemia and everything, basically I have fertility issues. Especially since I've been trying since June and there's been no signs of baby. Um, she said typically with normal patients, we usually say like keep trying for a year, but with PCOS patients, they usually start sending you off to other doctors within 6 months. Um, so I went to the OBGYN and basically spoke to her about the same exact thing of what happened. And basically, she gave me an exam and she said everything was good on my end, but to go to the maternal fetal medicine and they could definitely help with like coming up with a preconception plan. Um, so following into March, where we are now, we're into the month of March. And basically, I went to the preconception doctor, and she basically told me that I'm going to be always considered an automatic high risk pregnancy because of my PCOS, my thyroid, and my hyperprolactinemia. I do have risk of developing gestational diabetes and also developing diabetes after pregnancy. And I am also at risk for preeclampsia. Um, and then with PCOS and everything, basically like with PCOS and thyroid issues and things like that, they're all considered endocrine disorders. And I'm also at risk for miscarriages. And basically we came up with a plan, um, because I have been trying since June that basically like um by May, if I'm still not pregnant, she's gonna send me off to a reproductive endocrinologist. Now, they gave me this like pamphlet because I also did see a dietitian. Um, Again, year prior, I lost 70 pounds. Zepbound got ripped away from me. So I gained all my weight back and basically having to start at first base all over again with my weight. That was the whole reason why I went on it initially, to lose weight before pregnancy. And I gained my weight back faster than losing. Um, so that was like a slap in the face. And then I basically saw a dietitian at the maternal fetal medicine doctor and basically came up with a plan with that, and then also came up with a plan for preconception. Um, so, so here we are, filming this video now, and I'm going through infertility. You know, I have all the factors of it, and I also took a month, 2 month break from all social media, because it mentally just took a toll on me. It's been really hard to come to terms with everything, and like, you know, my wish has always been to start a family, and since a little girl, I've always wanted to go through motherhood. Um, Obviously, like in my mid-20s. And when I met my husband, we both always had the desire to one day have a family together and start a family, get married, just have a big family. And you know, I always say that God always puts his toughest soldiers through the hardest battles. And I feel like if I would have filmed this like 2 months ago, I don't think I would have been in the right headspace to talk about it. I feel like anybody that's going through fertility or trying to start a family understand the roller coaster of emotions, your mental state. It's been really hard to just sit back and just think about all the what ifs. And you know, I have a great support system. I have an amazing husband. I have an amazing family. I have amazing friends that are very supportive. I have all the right people in my life. It's just like when you're going through something like this internally, and you just still feel alone. Like, yes, I have the most supportive people in my life, but nobody understands the factors that come with it. You feel like you failed as a woman. You feel like you fail as a wife. You feel like you failed, like your body just has failed on you. Your body's just not working, and you have no control of anything that's going on internally. And as a woman, you know, we have the most powerful bodies. And some of us have bodies that have a harder time. And I've had to come to terms with that whatever I don't have control in, I need to take my control back. And I feel like every time I've tried to take my control back, somehow it's been ripped away from me. I didn't want to cry in this video, because I feel like the last 2 months I've got myself where I needed to be back at mentally. But I know it's okay to cry. It's okay to cry when you're alone. It's okay to feel these things because they're actual feelings of a desire of something you genuinely want. And I've always had a hard time with like my emotions. I've always been the type to like not talk about things and like bottle things up. And it's just hard because you just you have to be going through it to understand. And I know there's some women that have no desire to have kids. I know there's some women that have a desire to have kids. And I know there's alternatives. I know I could have a surrogate. I know I could have adoption, but it's the point that I want to go through that experience for myself. Um you know, I feel like I've ran with so many questions in my mind with the women in my family. They have so many kids. There's so many of us. There's so many cousins and things like that. And it's like, why me? Like, and obviously, like, you know, I'll never get those answers. I'll never get those answers. But one day I can look back at this video as I'm talking about it and be able to say that I beat it. And I have kids, and I have healthy, beautiful kids, and I have a family. But also, there's a thought in my mind that what if I don't get that? That thought will always run deep until I get it. And then I think about all the, like, the worst case scenarios of, like, miscarriages and going through complications, and it's just like, and then it's like, oh, should I even put myself through this, you know? But if you're someone that's watching this video currently and are going through something very similar than what I'm going through, just know you are not alone. You're not alone. And I've heard this so many times, is it will happen when you least expect it. And I feel like people mean well. People mean well with what they say to you. And obviously, in my mind, I feel like there's nothing you could say to make me feel better. But I know miracles do happen. I've witnessed it. I've witnessed it within so many women. It's just like, I just don't want, like, I want to have control, and it's like I feel like I can't. But I'm hopeful, and I have a great husband that's by my side through this. And you know, we've had emotional conversations privately together, and just to make sure I'm sane, and also my husband, because it's not just about me, it's also my husband. Yes, I'm the one that's physically going through it, but I also got to make sure he's mentally okay too, because you know, with stuff like this, you don't expect to go through it. And I have the most amazing, perfect partner to go through this with, because he has been so supportive from the start, and exactly why I knew to marry him. Because he's always been my rock and the person that's always been my backbone. But I've been doing everything my doctors have recommended. I've started prenatal, and I am starting diet changing, and doing low intense workouts, and low intense walking, because in the midst of this also I thought I injured my knees, but I also, in the midst of everything, I thought I injured my knees from working out at the gym. Turned out that I've had bone separation within my knees that I didn't know about either. So it's just been layers of things. But I'm trying to get myself right, trying to get my body right, trying to lose weight. You know, having PCOS is not easy on top of trying to lose weight. It's I feel like I have control in the situation by trying to get myself healthy and get myself right and prepare my body for a baby. Lastly, what I want to say is a message to myself, because I want to be able to look back on this video and be like, I made it and I did it. So if you're still watching this, you could stop here if you would like, but this last part of this video is going to be a message to myself. Hi, Emily. I hope you are looking at this video currently and reflecting on the good, the bad, whatever challenges you have faced, and whatever upbringings and happiness you have faced. Emily, I hope that you have gotten the chance of motherhood and you have started a family that you've always wanted with your husband. And I hope that you have four beautiful children. And I know that's a number that you've always desired to have. But if you didn't have four beautiful children, I hope you had two beautiful, healthy children. And if you got lucky to have three, and I really hope you were able to have at least three, they were all healthy and smooth pregnancies. I know you've always wanted to be a mother since a little girl. You've always had that desire to get that title of motherhood and go through that experience. And I hope you finally have gotten that chance to say you've made it and say you've made it into the motherhood category. And I hope you are the best mom. And I hope that everything you've taught yourself and the love you have for children, I hope it's fulfilling everything you feel, and everything you've went through didn't matter and you got to where you wanted to be. But if you did face challenges, that's okay. And whatever you went through, I hope you didn't lose yourself in the process. And you stood mentally strong, emotionally strong, physically strong. Your body continued to do what it needed to do. And I know your strength is unbelievable. And I know you as a person. But I hope that you got everything you ever dreamed of. And I hope your husband's happy and you guys have a beautiful family. But I love you, Emily, and just know you've always been resilient and you've always advocated for yourself and you got through that fight. But yeah, we're gonna finish this video. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I should be making a slow comeback, but I wanted to put this on YouTube and just talk. But yeah, I will be making an approach back onto YouTube, trying to get back into it. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.